What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be going over three of the hottest EVs right now, Nio, and Xpeng. We've had multiple requests from people asking us to go over these three stocks, kind of compare them and see what they're about and give our opinions on them. So that's what we're going to do in this video. But before we do, we just ask you guys hit that sub button. We've got like 80 or 90% of you guys watching these videos not subbed. We're trying to hit 200 subs by the end of January. So if you guys could help us out with that, it'd be greatly appreciated. But without further ado, man, let's get this thing rolling. But Li Auto, we'll start there. Past 6 months, 114%. That's what it's up the past 6 months. Not too shabby, for being 6 months. Again, most stocks on the New York Stock Exchange, or I should say, just even the S&P 500 is usually up only like 8 to 10% for a year.
Right.
So for you to be up 100% in 6 months, blown it out of the water. They've got a price target of 45, which is, I believe that's the lowest out of all three EVs that we're talking about in this video. Right now it's sitting at the $35 mark. So for it to hit that $45 price target it's not out of question. We did see a few months back that it did hit the high of $47. So it's slowly kind of working its way back up there. It did fall all the way back down to 28 to 30. And that was a good entry point for this stock if you weren't in it already, considering this big bull run up that we had. So that slight correction and pullback that we had here was totally expected, and it's still really not that bad of a price to get into right now. But we'll get into that here in a second. So about Li, they have one car model for sale, and that is it's like an SUV. But what makes this one different than the others is that it has an onboard generator, and that onboard generator recharges the car as like they're driving. So
Right.
that's, to me, I feel like that is the answer to the EV industry for like batteries. I don't know how hard it is. I don't know how impossible it is. But I feel like if they could get that fine tuned to maybe like solar powered, like let's say you put like a solar panel on the roof of the car and it charges the battery as you're driving the car, or, charge the battery as you're turning the wheels, then you wouldn't need these charging stations. You wouldn't need battery swapping stations. You wouldn't need any of that because the car does it itself. But again, I don't know how complicated that is. I don't know how big how big something like that would have to be in order for it to even do that. So, but I'm kind of glad that Li is taking that initiative to maybe try that. So we'll see where that goes. We'll see if that helps, push them in that direction, and maybe they'll advance it to a point where, Nio Xpeng and Tesla maybe kind of take that on their own, on their own cars. But again,
at least they're trying something different.
Right.
So.
Li and, I'm getting them all confused. Nio and Xpeng, they're kind of doing the same thing with the charging stations and stuff like that. So with Li to take that initiative to do something different, I think that's big for the industry. But let's go ahead and look at we have the CNN forecast pulled up. So Li Auto right now, again, we're sitting at like that $35 mark, but they have a high 12-month forecast high of 394. They have a median of 261 and a high of 139, or a low of 139. So that's 1,000% if they hit that high in 12 months. That's monstrous. That's huge. Yeah. And like the 600% if they hit the medium, and even the low. Let's say they hit the low of 140, you're still up almost 300% in 12 months.
That's huge numbers right there.
And I feel like this is like going into these kind of things. I feel like this is why a lot of people think that the EV is just a big bubble, because these numbers are so crazy. But I feel like we're just in an EV boom, just like the tech industry was in 2000.
Right.
Where do you think you see Li going? Let's say the end of January. We'll throw all these at the end of January. They're working on a full size SUV, for 2022. Right. But right now, again, they only have one, and they've only delivered, I don't even want to say only, they delivered over 32,000 vehicles.
Yeah,
so
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, right. I think with only having one vehicle and you sold 32,000, that's pretty good, because Nio has 3 SUVs and they sold 43,000. So they're not far behind. So I'm actually surprised this stock's only $35, but by the end of this month, it would be nice to see it around 37, 38, probably 38-ish.
I was gonna give it a high of 40.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, we've talked in previous videos. Tesla has their earnings coming out in January, so I'm kind of, or at the end of January, so I'm kind of hoping that pushes the whole industry as a whole.
Right.
So hopefully we'll see some kind of run up here. But you know, we don't know. Currently, I'm not in this stock. Chad, are you in the stock?
No, not right now.
Not Lee. We were talking before the recording. We were in this stock back in October, November sometime, and we actually sold off on this bull run up. When it started to pull back slightly, we actually sold. So we're debating on whether or not we want to get into it. But honestly, like looking at some of this research that we've been seeing, like while we were researching for this video, honestly, it gives me no reason to not be into Lee. I just didn't want to be too heavy in the tech or in the EV industry because I'm in Nio and Tesla.
Right.
But if I put into one more, you know, either Lee or Xpeng, I don't think it would be a bad choice considering the forecast what we just saw.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna pick one of them, because we're also in some like electric stuff as well. So I just don't want my portfolio to lean too heavy on just EV stuff in general. But I'll probably be picking one of them. Maybe by the end of this video, we'll let you know what we'll probably be doing. But yeah.
But yeah, so we'll wrap that up for Lee, and we'll just hop over to Nio.
Yeah, so Nio, the last 6 months, they've just been doing amazing. They're up 371% last 6 months. And like we were saying, usually the average market's like 7 to 10%.
Right.
So that's just blowing it out of the water. But so they're sitting around 58 right now. They got up to didn't they get to like 66 or so?
Yeah.
Before it pulled
right
back?
now I'm seeing past 6 months the highest of 66.
Yeah,
almost 67.
So right now they have price targets between 75 and 100, and you know both of those are pretty far away from $58. So you know if it's sitting at 58 and it goes to 75, you know that's still good money. But if it goes all the way to 100, that's real good. But so they have four models for sales, 3. I guess currently on the road. So they have 3 different SUVs, and then they've just released that new sedan, the ET7, that's going to be being delivered in next year, beginning of next year, I believe. But they are taking pre-orders for them now, so it'd be interesting to see if some numbers come out about that.
Right.
But so Nio delivered 43,728 vehicles last year, which is really good. Just as we said before in other videos, every time they release numbers about their sales, they're always like 100 to 120% over, previous numbers. So
which is fantastic.
Yeah, they're growing at a amazing rate. But they're working on their battery as a service, adding more of those swapping stations. They got we call it the 2.0 version of those swapping stations. They're faster. They have a higher capacity, so they can swap out more batteries per day. And the ET7 sedan is just their battery in it is gonna be amazing. It's like the solid state battery, and it's like 620 or 625 miles per charge.
Which is ridiculous compared to something like Tesla.
Right. I think their max range, like Model S, goes like 402 or something.
Yeah.
So they're
like 400 miles or so.
Yeah, it's like low 400s, like barely 400. So it's 620. They're smoking that number.
Right. I was gonna say, we're looking at the CNN business forecast right now, just like we did for Li Auto. So if we look at this. Forecast, we're showing right now it's showing about 650 or so, which is still up 1,000% from where we're
next
at right
12
now.
months.
It's still crazy, and a median of 388 and a low of 100, which again, this is that price target right now. There's a lot of people saying anywhere between that 75 and 100 mark. So we're not. I guarantee we hit this by summer, based on everything they've done.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna take until the end of this year. It's gonna be. Like you said, I think June, middle of the year, we're going to be hitting that, I think.
Right. So we'll see what happens there. I don't want to say we're not going to hit that median, but I could see this thing, hitting maybe I'm going to throw a year-end estimate as of right now, 150. 150 is where it's where I would personally put it.
That'd be nice.
Right, that'd be very nice. But comparing that to Lee, so it's relatively close for year-end numbers, and we just keep flopping back and forth.
Yeah, percentage-wise.
Nio is like percentage-wise, they're both relatively
like
close.
1,000%. Yeah.
Right. So Lee's just a little bit higher, but just with them having that one vehicle still kind of concerns me. But
right, and they're only SUVs. They're one, as we said, their one model they have now is a SUV, and they're working on a full size SUV that they're releasing next year. So I think I'm really surprised that all these manufacturers started with SUVs, since at least here in the US, pretty much everyone has a car and they might have an SUV. It's not the other way around.
Right.
So I'm kind of surprised with that, but maybe other countries are different. But it seems
maybe
like
it's
other
just
countries.
different in China. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that pretty much wraps up, comparing Nio and Lee. But let's go ahead and throw this last one in here, which is Xpeng. Between Xpeng, Nio, and Lee, I feel like Nio is the one that's been the best off so far. It had that run up and then a pullback, but it's already above its previous high. You look at Lee and Xpeng, they haven't caught that high.
Yeah, so, they were riding. It seems like they were riding more of just the EV hype in general. It wasn't just because their company was doing something good. It was just they went to the moon because the whole EV industry in general went to the moon. So that's why I think Nio, like you said, they've already recovered from that.
Right. And we're not bashing any of these other ones. It's just like I feel like Nio has the news. They have everything that's backing up why their stock's going up. They have the sales. They have, again, that Nio Day, man. Nio Day blew it out of the water.
Yeah. I mean, they have the most sales. They have more cars. So they have the autonomous driving.
Yep.
So
it'll be interesting to see how they all compete. But with Xpeng, we'll go ahead and hop into it real quick. For the last 6 months, they're still better than Lee. Not as good as Nio, but they're up 155% on the year. They have a price target of about $58, so $4 short of where we're at. Clearly, the high was up 75, which is higher than what we saw with Nio back here.
Yeah.
So that was good, but again, it might have been riding the hype. So we're just going to kind of leave it at that. But that tells me that it's not scared to get back up that high.
Right.
So we'll keep an eye on that. But they currently have two models: the G3, which is an SUV, and they have a P7, which is a sedan. So they already kind of touch base with both markets of an SUV and a sedan. Yep. But they've only delivered 27,000 vehicles. So they're the lowest, of sales. But it amazes me that they got the highest during the EV boom.
Right. I'm surprised their stock is sitting at 54,000 right now, or $54 right now.
I mean, that's comparing to Nio, dude. And it's just
right.
I expect Nio though to be a lot higher here in the next coming weeks. So we'll see. But Xpeng, they just announced or they just released that they're working on the autonomous driving for features on the highway. So I don't know if they're aiming for that full autonomous driving, or if to me it sounds like we'll have to do some more research into it. But it sounds like they're just doing some features right now for the highway. Right. So at least they're touching base and getting into that field, but we'll kind of watch and see what happens there. And let's hop on over to the forecast for this one. This will be the last one. So the high, they have a high. They're not nearly as high as Lee and Nio, but a high of 452, which is 730% up.
Yeah, still huge.
I mean, that's 700%, dude. That's
I wouldn't be upset with that.
You can't complain.
Right.
Yeah. A median of 350, which is about 540%, and then a low of 150, which is about 170% up, based off the current price from where it's at now. Again, I personally feel out of all three, Nio's the best, and then if I had to fall or if I put any money into another one, I'm probably going Lee. It's cheaper, it has more room to grow, and their sales are up there just as high as Nio and what they're working on. So
yeah, I mean, I was gonna say pretty much the same thing. If I had to pick between Lee or Xpeng, I would put my money in Lee because it's $35, and looking at their sales, they're only 10,000 behind Nio, and that's only with Lee only having one car to sell.
Right.
So
Right. To me, it sounds like they're just like, yeah. To me, it just sounds like they're doing something right to compete with that same sales range as Nio.
Yep.
Again, we just kind of wanted to bring this video to you guys as like an overview of where we think these things are going. We've had multiple people ask for this exact video. We're going to be releasing more videos though, going in deeper with these stocks to find out what they're really about, what's going on, and to give you guys more information. Our goal is to give you guys as much information as possible so you guys can make your own decision based on your own research as well. We only give research as entertainment purposes only. We're not giving financial advice. Always consult your own financial advisor for all of that. But that pretty much wraps up this video. And again, if you guys like this content, always hit all the stuff down below. The like, notification bell, sub. Again, we're trying to hit 200 subs by the end of January. Again, we appreciate all the support that we've gotten so far. And I can't say that enough, man. We really do appreciate it. But that wraps up this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.